Awesome. Thank you so much, Yinsu. Jess, it is time. You and I kicking it off, and we are starting in the quarterfinals for Cloud9 White, and also, man, I love frogs. I almost did the acronym, but we're not going into it. We're looking at Bind. This is actually going to be something very fun because Cloud9 White, this is also going to be the first time in this tournament that we will see Astra.
Yeah, that's the huge thing as well. A lot of people aren't going to be familiar with Astra as an agent. You know, even myself, I'm still looking through a lot of the abilities going, all right, how does this affect a round? How are you going to use this? You know, whether it's a retake scenario, whether it's just going to be an execute on the site. How are you going to use Astra? However they use it, I'm interested to see the new meta.
Definitely, and Cloud9 White, to start things off, we have 4 ladies that are getting ready to go aggressively towards this mid side, and just talking about Astra, as you mentioned here just now, Jess, we do have Astra putting up that first smoke so they could try to hide into it, but things stay quiet, as it seems as though for Frogs, they really want to try to take the extremities.
Yeah, why not? Look it over to your little mini-map there. It's a cluster of the blue over towards A, and that's where they want to hold off on to begin with. We said that Frogs were going to be aware of some of those push points here for C9 White. Are they aware? Yes. Look at Annie. She's surely around A crossfire now, and it looks like a teammate of Keiri. She'll come zooming through to make it a play. And this pistol round, I tell you what, I didn't expect, you know, either team to be a bit of a smashing coming into it, Vans, but you know, C9, they're showing that that's why they're the C1 team or the C2 team coming into this tournament.
Definitely, and now Dinos has to pick up the spike. She's on her own with one more teammate, but they are split off across the map. Technically, they do have a sandwich versus Cloud9 White, but it's also a 1 versus 4 on both extremities. So we do have the spike falling back towards the B site. We have Keiri who's moving back towards the spawn to cut the rotation too, and I love the setup. The camera to watch the rotation, and now the spike is also going to be planted with C9 White coming on the rotation.
Well, it's a 2v4. I mean, Vans, what do you expect? Do you think the retake can happen? It's pistol round. You might as well go all the way in. You're not got anything to lose here, really.
100%. They're waiting for the smoke to dissipate. They also have the recon dart that could come out too, and they're just going to drop down. But Keiri's in the back of the site. That's going to be Keiri to fall first. But they are holding down as much as they can. Dinos is only going to be able to take one more, and the defuse will come back for Mel, as that was basically a ball of trades for Cloud9 White coming out into this B site.
They're really good post-plan positions as well. I mean, even though you're going up against a 2v4 and then once you get that first initial kill or 2v3, it doesn't really matter. The crossfires are still strong. Even as the smoke dissipates, it doesn't matter if your position's given up. You know your teammates got your crossfire from across the site. Really well done. Good first round. Good momentum boost here for C9. And if you're Frogs, you want to stop that as soon as possible. But when you got pistols going up against, you know, is that a bulldog I see over there? All I'm saying is it's going to be a difficult round here.
The Bulldog picked up by Keiri, the latest addition to Cloud9 White, coming over from Counter-Strike Go into this roster. She's been a dominant player in the Counter-Strike scene, playing with Team Mythic, which is Flom's team, and now with C9 White having a full salary, going straight into this game. Being flawless so far for Cloud9 White as Cat gets the first blood down towards short A. Lynn, the first to fall, she was trying to dash through. And you see here for Frogs, they actually have a triple duelist, so they have to play very aggressively.
Oh, that aggression. It didn't really work out in the end, Vans. Look at that. Stuck all the way over in lamps, and that's a flawless round to come out. That is what I expected from a team who gets the momentum from pistol round, goes in the second round. I mean, if you're sitting there going, whoa, C9, they're looking crazy good. Hey, hush down a little bit. It's only been 2 rounds, and the momentum after the pistol round is expected to go into the hands of C9 White. I'm giving it until we got that first gun round when I can really make a good judgment here of Frogs as to whether they are going to be a serious contender here in this map and into future maps.
100%, because you're looking at Cloud9 White right now. They won the first, they won the second. They pretty much went flawless on that second round too, so they're going to bonus into this round. So even if Frogs wins this round, they're still going to have a lot of money for C9 White, so the test is not over yet for the ladies over on the attacker side. And Keiri is going to try to draw first blood outside towards showers. That control being very important. And a pinch at the same time, so Keiri's dashing in from the other extremity, and she's going to get the headshot onto Lynn. Meanwhile, they have dropped down to even the tally up on a 3 versus 3. Ellie trying to watch this flank towards the market side, the wall bang onto Alexis, and things starts very well for Frogs on a 3 versus 1 remaining.
I mean, if you want anyone left on C9, Vans, it's Annie, because she's going to be the one that can absolutely take this cool, calm, collected zoom around the corner, and it's almost like cast a curse. Ali will take her out with a headshot, and Annie can't really do much, and it doesn't matter how well you talk up a player here, Vans. If you've got too many man advantage or woman advantage, what are we going to call this? It's usually the term's man advantage, but
player's advantage?
players advantage. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Too many players advantage on the side of Frogs there. And I said, don't discount Frogs because they're hopping into the game finally.
And what I do like about C9 so far is the past 3 rounds, they've put a lot of emphasis on taking short A control. On the pistol, when they're going to rush through, they could fight back. On the retake on showers, you saw at the beginning when he took Sands, they could actually pinch in towards this area. But finally, now that we have technically a full gun round for both of these teams, it could be kind of low though because they did lose a lot of players for Frogs. There's going to be more of a default setup now for C9 White.
Well, there was a lot of A pressure last round, and it was quite swift this round, taking things a little bit more passively, and that's what I would expect, especially when you want to keep a lot of these weapons. You can look over to Frogs right now, and they're the ones that want to be able to keep all of the weapons they can. That bolt is going to give a little bit of an indication to C9 White exactly where some of those players are, and I think Alexis will be the first one to have to go head-to-head with the Jett here. This could go really bad or really good really quickly.
I just saw in the X-ray though, somebody was watching that flanking. Keiri pushed all the way out too, so 2 ladies pushing out towards Showers Control. They're trying to trade it out, and it works out. So Keiri is out on a deserted island. She's going to have to take down as many as she can before she falls, and she's only good for 1. Now Ellie twitches, back with 2 more teammates, moving back towards the short A, but that Nebula just got popped up here by Katsumi. That doesn't allow for them to get any of that map control later on.
God, Astra's ability is so gorgeous, especially when you hit that bird's eye view on it. Paint shells will rain out. Unfortunately, doesn't get the color that they want. And as a result, now it's going to be an even player count. 20 seconds left, Vans, and you can see that camera feeding all the intel to make a jump, and you can't miss those shots. All of a sudden now it's going to have to be a Sober to try and attempt the retake. As the player goes down, the wallbangs miss, and Vans, this is a tricky retake. Do they have enough utility to work with here?
They tried so much. The Sova darts, the 2 shock darts, they couldn't get the wallbang either. And now even the Neural Theft coming out from Frogs allows the last 2 to get spotted from C9 White. So they know one's in hookah, one's in spawn. And he's going to try to move in closely, but there's one just inside the cubby. There's going to be a perfect crossfire set. The first one of the bait, but the flick still comes perfectly out for Annie Dro. She gets both them down. Meanwhile, Cat has dropped the 3rd player. A beautiful retake for C9 White. And now 3-1 also on the scoreboard.
Now, this is what we were talking about before. We said that C9 had a great setup for their crossfires. You know what's lacking for Frogs? Good crossfires. They're set up in really good post-player positions, but no one's acting on the crossfire. You should never let a player cross in the middle of your crossfire and take 2 1v1s. That should never happen, especially when you got numbers advantage there. That's a shame there for Frogs. That was a round that could have gone their way. Now we're hitting the 3-1 on the scoreboard, and look at the big carry, Keiri.
Oh man, and even then, looking at Cloud9 White on that retake too, right? They had the luck of the timing, I guess, versus Frogs, because you looked at the position as you mentioned, Jess. They had 1 in the cubby, 1 towards a shoulder, and they were really focusing more on hookah instead of spawn side, thinking it was going to be the first point of contact, but it wasn't the case. C9 White, like we said, makes it 3-1, and they're looking for this map control now for the attackers of Frogs towards this long B side.
A really good indication that multiple of the attackers were over near that fountain area. We got that drone that spotted that out early on. Does that mean a rotate occurs? Probably not. Maybe they're just sussing out the site as it exists. A dink from across from Hookah is going to alert C9 that, they're a lot closer than they expected. And surely now a couple of the other defenders will work out that they may have to rotate at some point because they don't know if this is a switch and bait yet, Vans. They don't want to be too early on that call.
Well, now that Dinos also shot from the Octagon side, they know there's at least 2 players now towards this B side. And looking at that minimap, you see that Spike also rotating, and we're about to have this hit towards this B side, and also this Brimstone ultimate. If it's going towards Elbow, it's going to do so much damage to allow Frogs to get into the site.
You want to see that pop off. You want to see this be an explosive round, and explosive it will be. Here comes the raise. Oh, but can't make anything out of that. Oh, what a shame. Inside the game, if Keiri, she doesn't miss. Look at the headshots raining down. It's a blue tsunami on your kill feed there. And all of a sudden, Keiri the carry, she's really going to take this nickname and absolutely run with it.
Even then, you mentioned it, Jess, when they were fighting on that long-range battle from spawns in, also into Hookah versus Ellie Twitches, she was down to 57 HP. So looking back into the spawn site, for her to still get an ace and still come out with 57 HP, that means that she had perfect cover as well from Mel's cyber cages that were popped up on the right side of the site.
Oh, my heart is racing here, and probably more for C9 White than it is for Frogs. I think their heart's going to be racing for a much different reason here. They're going to attempt to try and retake some of those rounds and the buffer that they've got between the winning and the losing, at least in this first half. Good early use of some of that utility, especially intel collection. That's what I love to see. We've got the Cypher on both sides of the coin here, and I think what they've been able to do is collect really good intel from those cams. None of it's really come to a T yet. It's mostly come to mechanical fights, but I do think as the rounds sort of slow down a little bit, Cypher's going to become extra important for those flanks as well.
100%. You mentioned it. Sometimes no information is good information too, right? They had the camera towards Sands, doesn't see anybody, so they know the hit is coming on the A side for C9 White, so they have to defend it. 4 players already rotated on this side, and Junifor as that Phoenix. She's going to put the wall up. We have some stars being popped down too, trying to go with the gravity well, and they push one into the portal to try to fake the rotation for Frogs, but we are still holding strong for Cloud9 White. The push coming in from the showers. Alexis gets the first blood. We're holding our grounds in the backlines. We're letting them in, and we're also dropping them. Cloud9 taking the advantage. Cat now trying to spray through the double boxes. Keiri now with the knives out. She's only got one left as she whisks a few towards that Brimstone. At least a spike has been planted, and as I get it, I do get the caster blessing. I call her out in the knives. She gets 2 out of them after.
I'll be the one that dips out on the caster curse, and you give the caster blessing. And I think that's how it's going to go for a lot of these rounds from now on, ladies and gentlemen, because, oh my goodness, if it's not me looking at Katie, it's me looking over at Annie, it's me looking over to all C9, wondering whether or not there's really a big weakness that they have yet. Is there a part of them that I'm sitting there going, actually, I don't foresee them winning this map? Well, not so far. They've just been really powerful with the way that they're holding off. I do think, however, it's not fair of me to sort of criticize Frogs yet, because it's been quite difficult to take the spy, get it in, hold off, and then just attacking rates as a whole. Vans, talk me through, especially for the viewers that don't really know this game very well, attacking win rates can oftentimes be much lower than defending, depending on the map.
100%, and even if you're looking at the situation of the pistol rounds, right, when you're playing a game that's only max rounds 12, then it's also the economy comes into a huge importance into it. So for them to win that gun round versus a bonus, but already comes out on low economy, they're looking low for the rest of the game. That last round that they got a plant for Frogs, they're on a half buy. So this is finally that their money's right. They have a couple of ultimates to work with where they could definitely try to switch things over and turn things around in their favor. Oh no. Especially with that, actually it's oh yes, it's an aggressive push from Cat that got denied by Lynn.
Hey, both of these Jets are popping off with the operator at the moment. That's what we like to see, a good Jett with a good operator play. Both of them will get 1 for the piece, and I think overall for now, as things start to quieten down, Showers, controllers, where they're looking to go. There's 1, but you can't get 2 as it's traded very quickly by Clefairy. Putting a little bit of magic dust over there into Showers, but A is the target, Vans, and they're going to make it happen.
Exactly, they cleared it out with the run it back from Juna 4, but the counter comes out from Anidro, denying that plant, at least for now, and Mel is still alive inside the site. She's trying to hold things down as long as she can to allow the rotation from her teammates, but it doesn't pay off. Cypher diff. Clefairy takes the upper hand, and the spike is now planted as Anidro looking for rotation with Katie with the op.
She doesn't really have a good line of sight yet, but they can wait it out a little bit longer. They'll get rid of the cam to make sure they're not spotted out. And well, they really do think that there's someone playing mid of sight, but they're not. They're backed all the way up. And in fact, you're going to see them move all the way back towards TP. And well, now they know they can block off the line of sight, possibly even bait the defuse here, Vans. But they have no idea where they are. They're actually all over in lamps. Is that where they are?
They know. The recon dart came out too. They know the last players are on turret A. Their trade comes out, and he gets the last one. Does she have enough time as it's ticking down onto that spike? It's going to be close, but she should get it now to allow Cloud9 White to move ahead 6-1.
Why do I feel like it's just Annie over an A? Always.
I mean, like, the utility that you have from Silva, you see how they're setting things up right now for Cloud9 White, right? They're always putting Annie Droll towards his B side and putting a lot of emphasis and focus towards the A side. Why? Because if the recon dart comes out, or an Aldrone spots a bit of information, or there's any type of aggression, well, Cat, her stars could be thrown anywhere across the map. She could do it from the A side, slow things down with gravity wells, trying to daze them up as well with the Nova Pulse. And if it doesn't happen, and they hit towards the A side for Frogs, then you already have 3-4 players there.
Well, there you go. Looks like C9 can do it all. They're very prepared with all of their utility. Speaking of utility, that's going to give Annie the indication that it is probably going to be a pretty hard push through hookah.
Yeah.
They can fake it out and bait it low, and that's going to be almost a dink happening over towards Fountain. If they can hold off on this long spot, and I'm thinking for Keiri here, the big thing holding off on this angle is if once that smoke dissipates, you're in such a crucial power position. It doesn't matter. Keiri says, I don't need the smoke to dissipate. I can do it through it.
It's one of those moments, if you come from Counter-Strike, it's like, hey, there's a pop flash, counter 3, and shoot. Same thing right now with the smoke coming down. She counts to 3, she gets the shot. At the same time, Frogs have lost their battle for hookah control at the beginning of the round 2. So to sum it up now, it's a 5-on-2 in favor of Cloud9 White. Keiri, with her teammate now as the Phoenix, being Juna4, have to work together with this. But look at the amount of traps that are being set up. You got stars being placed towards the short A. You got stars being placed towards the teleporter too. They're trying to have everything on lock, and it's going to be probably a contact for C9 White.
Enemy remaining.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
How is that going to happen? That is a gravity well going for the spray through the blaze wall and the second kill onto Juna4. And that is map denial through any obstruction so far, Jess. They're not having a chance even walking through any type of smokes or blaze wall to get map control for Frogs.
You know, that's terrifying. I would be sitting there as the Frogs players or even the support staff sitting behind the scenes right now going, you know what? We're using our utility to the right effect. We are walling. We are making sure that we're smoking the way that we need to block and obstruct lines of sight. And C9, they must be doing scrims somewhere, somehow, where they just shoot through smoke. They're just like, all right, girls, where do you think we need to shoot? Okay, shoot through here. That should be about head height. Yeah, that'll do. And that's how I feel it's been going for C9 White.
Oh boy, the showstopper down towards the market. Very aggressive, as you notice as well. Katie is going with a Vandal, leaving the operator for Mel, so they could actually double up towards this short. So much map has been given away from the Frogs. Look at them. They're all close down towards that spawn sign, and that was a beautiful push.
I love an early Raze aggressive push as well, because when you play it right, you can collect a couple of players early on. C9, Annie coming out and showing what C9 White can do, and that's a good shot. A missed opportunity there for Keiri, though. She's been popping off. We said she's the carry. Unfortunately, she misses a couple of really crucial shots there, but they still have the numbers advantage, and guess what? That's going to be elevated by Alexis, who goes, alrighty, I'm going to get my shots off as well, and Cat, the play gets down, but that's really nothing said or done, really, for C9 White. I mean, Vans, what are we going to say about Frogs now? They were able to walk away with one round. I thought it might be a little bit of momentum mover. I don't know.
It looked pretty well. It looked pretty good, right? I know they lost a player early into the round at market and from the showstopper, but at least when they're holding back towards spawn, as Cloud9 White has that confidence to continue to press forward. They had perfect trades. They almost had a perfect crossfire, but just a little bit too far behind was Dinos trying to get that wall bang onto Alexis Marie down towards that market into cave. So they have to try to work a little bit better here for Frogs to be good on these trade setups because, like you mentioned here, Jess, the smokes, everything else that they're doing for Frogs currently is perfect.
Well, there's going to be some shots raining through that cloud burst to begin with, and C9, they know how that can work in their favor, so you don't want to be on the receiving end of that one. You can see the Cypher dancing through the wall there, hoping that someone comes peeking on through. And if you're Keiri right now, you don't want to give that up. You don't want to get a short-range engagement with the op. They just bait it out with a little bit of a quick peek. Surely a tailwind out of there, but doesn't quite make it. Stuck on the wall. And I think if anyone's got something to do, it's Juna4 here.
I love it because they've created a diversion. Juna4 is inside the U-Haul with a Bucky at the same time. The spike will go down, and there you go. She does get the kill. Owl drone out from Annie Dro on the rotation. So everybody has already rotated from C9 White. Clock is taken on that spike. We do have the ult from the Astral Storm coming out here as we are going to try to cross over, but that's going to kill all noise. They don't know if it's actually going to be fully diffused so far. They have to run through, and as they run through, it's a trade for trade. But Juna4 stays alive. She's now in the cubby. She's keeping this spike up, but no, she pulls out a curveball, and Annie Jo gets the timing for the kill. And unfortunately, it's going to be C9 White that's going to take the round overall.
I tell you what, I'm going to call it here right now, Vans. I'm going to say it. The truck spot on A is Annie's domain.
Oh, yeah.
Don't play it there. Don't play it there. Don't go there. Don't challenge her there. Don't do anything there. Okay? If you want to go plan on B. For the love of God. If Annie's still alive, don't do it. because every single time a plant has happened, she's the one that's been able to get that clutch or the defuse of some kind.
Yeah.
And then it's just completely left Frogs in the dark. They're 8 rounds in deficit, Van.
You know what else is scary, though? Because if they decide to go B, who's playing there? It's still Annie Dro. So it's a tough one for Frogs, unfortunately, right now. But like I said, the utility is perfect. I mean, they had the right way to get into U-Control or U-Haul to get the spike down while they were keeping the shower side busy. They notice this right now. You look at C9 White in their position, there's always only maximum 1 player so far for Cloud9 White. They're putting a lot more emphasis, like I said, towards mid-side control.
Well, this is one of the slowest starts to any of the rounds we've had so far. And I suppose when you've got a best of 3 to work with, you do have to slow things down. Shower control desperately being rained for, and that Astra will come popping. Keiri shows that she can wield that operator to great effect, and a run it back doesn't really have the effect it needs, although it does spot out the player playing over towards Shroud. And oh no, a quick peek from Keiri means it doesn't work.
That's correct, because now as they're focused so much on bench, they had the crossfire from the double box. Now only Clifford by herself as she's able to get Keiri in the air. But again, we talk about the trade opportunities, Jess. It seems to be on the upper hand for Cloud9 White because those trades always come instantly for the ladies on the defender side so far.
That's probably the biggest indication for me. A team that has really good synergy and coordination and comms is a team that's able to trade almost instantaneously. If you can keep that numbers advantage or just keep it even throughout your match, then that's something that shows me that you're a team that understands the value of player advantage. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. That's why the scoreline's reflected so. I'm hoping that changes because we love an underdog story, but it's feeling pretty one-sided for the moment.
Yeah, especially going with the triple duelist setup right now for Frogs. I mean, they have a 6-player roster as well, switching over Anyun and Juna4 from time to time, but that's a plug-and-play. If it's Juna4 not playing and it's Anyun playing, they're still going to play the Phoenix instead. So it doesn't really change much to the synergy or the strategy for the teams of Frogs. So going with the triple duelist, you have to be fairly aggressive. And you see it. They're trying it, but it's not working out. Mel is doing the same thing. She drops 2, and now it's already a 5-on-2 situation.
Yeah, Annie's read well into this. They know Spike's dropped over towards Fountain. Why not pop a couple of those bolts over towards it so you can collect someone on the run and the retake? Clefairy will be able to collect something back. It's a late trade, but it's a trade nonetheless. And now C9 knows that their positions are given out, but this is just looking like an awful sandwich, a pinch that you can't get out of, all the way over towards Fountain, and it's done. I would say that was almost as close as you get to a flawless when you lose one of your players, as Mel had already done exceptional damage over towards B-Long.
Oh yeah, and Clefairy, mind you, we actually had this in our notes, and thank you, Yinsu, for letting us know it. Clefairy, this is actually the first time that she's playing an FPS, by the way. So playing with
3
Frogs,
months ago?
Yeah, first time she's playing an FPS game, probably not touching any tactical shooters at all, and here you are in the top 8 at least for the game changers. And this is great because this is going to be a very good experience. You're looking at the interviews of the Frogs themselves. They're looking up to C9. They're excited for the matchup. The scoreline won't mean much because experience is going to be very important moving forward into other stops of the game changers throughout the year.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't understate that enough as well, because even just in this particular tournament on its own, you could look up to multiple different players, multiple different teams, and know that no matter where you place, mind you, they made it to playoffs. So really, it's not like we even, are going to trash talk them that much. They made it to playoffs. So they're here for a very, very good reason. But they get to turn to other players and go, wow, I went up against whoever their inspiration is. I learned A, B, C, D. I come back next year and I absolutely wreck you. That's what we want. We want to come back next year, and it's a revenge tour here for Frogs.
And now that you get to move on here to the second half, we do have a technical pause, or maybe even tactical pause, because at this point, that pistol round is oh so crucial for Frogs to try to come back into this game. What do you think they should do right now on the defender side at this point?
I would say it's going to be a lot easier for them, depending on how aggressive we see C9 get. Sometimes when you see a team, they've got quite a big advantage, especially round count-wise. They might just come out and go, let's just go really aggressive really quickly, because we can take them off guard. They're already questioning themselves. It's a bit of a mental game that you can instill in multiple tactical FPS games. Here right now, I don't foresee C9 being that way. I still think they will stick to their usual strategies that they would want to employ. They might be a bit more loose about it. So if I'm looking over to Frogs, I'm saying to them, keep your crossfires in check. Look at your player next to you. Look at when the site is being pushed. Be aware of your utility and your abilities, and make sure you're not just using it willy-nilly. Make sure it means something, and make sure that you can collect up on the trade of your teammate. That's going to even the numbers and give you better chance.
It makes sense. They're already doubling up very aggressively towards the shower side, but look at all these stars are already set up here on the A side. The Nebula to come towards heaven, and now the dash from Keiri also towards the shower, or towards the U-shaped hallway, sorry, and it's going to be Mel and Keiri drawing first blood, 2 to fall, and that is Shower's control lost. You still have one more inside the U-shaped hallway. It's going to be Ellie Twitches, who also unfortunately twitches down to the ground. And it's a 5-on-2 now for Cloud9 White, and even Annie Jo continuing with the performance that she has and the confidence that she has to push down towards the spawn, where the last 2 players are coming through. It is going to be that Brimstone moving forward right now as Dinos. Yeah, the stun did come out actually from that one. That was really nice. But they're going with the right clicks, and Dinos does get the kill, leaving only now 4 players alive, but a great positioning, and it's just going to be an aim battle for Keiri to drop the last 2. Easy pickings to put them now at match point for the first map of the series.
This has gone by a lot quicker than I expected, I will say. Mind you, you and I had a bit of a discussion about this particular map before it started, and we actually said, which map does this actually favor? And we don't have a lot of stats to go off for Frog, so we can really just look to C9 White and go, how does this map sort of buy? And I look over to my notes right now, and it goes, C9 has a clear lean towards maps like Ascent and Bind. So I'm sort of sitting here going, this is probably going to be a good map for C9 White. Mind you, they could still pick things up here and sort of redeem themselves a little bit. But when I said that C9 were going to be, I didn't expect them to be aggressive. Yeah, I'm wrong. I'm wrong, Vans. Take it away.
There was definitely not enough footage to see how Cloud9 White plays their defender side, because most of the notes that I have is their tendencies on the attack. And this is it right now, pushing as a group. And they are all moving towards this B side. Keiri also in the back of the side. First one to drop inside Tuna Gan. She draws first blood here. Spike is about to get planted on the default spot, as we do have Mel as a Cypher of all agents still pushing forward with that Spectre. Gets the first kill onto Dinos, a dink onto a second one. Close range to drop down 2 to 4, and that's an easy triple in the end, catching Lynn off guard on the reload. And the last one to fall, and it's a flawless on top of that to make it 13-1 for C9 White over, man, I love frogs.
Whew.